hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. And I am Mr. Warren Hayes, and I have love in my heart, I have passion on the brain, I have feelings in my gut. Because the Valentine's thing is around us. And, you know, there's certain times of the year which everyone feels a little more special, a little more happy, or on the opposite, a little more down because that kind of stuff happens, you know, because you either put stock in Valentine's Day or you don't, right? Well, hey, you know, you sort of do what you have to do. But the one thing that we are going to do here tonight, whether Valentine's Day means something to you, whether it's just another day, all of us are going to spend a wonderful time together right here talking about professional wrestling. Yeah. Because that's what we do here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. We do this every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Yes, it's recorded live. And we are recording the February 13th episode just before Valentine's Day. And that's what we're going to do here tonight. So if you're watching live, hey, how you doing? Welcome here to the chat. And we've got a fun house right here already. The chat has been alive even before I started the stream actually this evening. We've got Tim Traver who's here, Benoit as well. Hello, Robert Larry. I see you right there. Evangelina Cantu. Carlos is here as well. We've got Metal, who was also here. Alonzo Smith. We have Aaron Jace is here. Mr. Fretz. J.S. Brown. What a fantastic group of people. Not to mention Anakin JMT, who is here as well. Anakin, who also left a super chat. And you can leave a super chat right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes if you're watching this live. And Anakin says, more vampire jokes. Yeah, I've been on a bit of a tear in regards to vampire jokes. I went a little overboard on Monday evening over on the Fightful podcast along with Kristen Ashley. We sort of went at it. We went a little nuts with vampire jokes, vampire puns. I don't know how many you listened, how many you've heard. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say. How many you've heard? Because we were trying to. It was all because of Shayna Baszler, right? It's always because of Shayna Baszler, because she attacked Becky Lynch and started sticking her teeth into her neck. I don't know if you know this, but the best way to find out if someone is a vampire is to wait till they're sick. Because if they're sick, they're going to go, Nosferatu. Thank you very much. So there we go. And that's the kind of response that you'll get if you send me a super chat. But I want to thank everyone for joining me here tonight. If you can toss a few bucks my way, I appreciate it. If you can't, or I appreciate you being here. And maybe you can give the video a thumbs up, because that's another great way to show support for the show. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, you can also show some love there with a review, a follow, a subscription, any kind of type of love that you can show the show is always fantastic. Don't forget, speaking of shows, I always have one after the main stream right here. I have a post stream for patrons only over on patreon.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. It's a little show I call Off the Clock. Warren is off the clock. And tonight we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff that I tried to squeeze into the show this evening, but it's just not going to work. Yeah. So what I'm going to try and do is, I'm going to talk about Bobby Lashley. I'm going to talk about AEW going hot and cold on people. And I'm also going to talk about all the baby faces that are on Raw these days. What the hell is going on? So come and join me. You just become a patron at the Power Pal level, the $5 level. You get all the goodies, including the post stream. We sit around, we talk. It's fun. It's chill. So that's another way you can show support to the show. If you want to also show support to the show, I have a t-shirt. It's a t-shirt that says, "This is a fun match, you guys." If you follow me on Twitter, you know exactly what all that's all about. Go check it out. It's at tinyurl.com/Warren Shop. Consider picking one up. You have a whole range of colors for the t-shirt as well. So go check it out. tinyurl.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. I'll be back tomorrow night streaming on Fightful for the SmackDown post show, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Saturday morning, I'm going to be doing a TakeOver Portland prediction show with my boy Mags. That's right. Look, Mags does all sorts of podcasts. The Badlands podcast, which is the Mount Rushmore thing. Mount Rushmore of wrestling. And also he does Why We Watch podcast. Mags is going to be joining me on Saturday morning, 11 a.m. so that we can run down the card. And then I'll be doing a watch along on Sunday evening for Portland. So be sure to come check everything out with me. It'll be a good time. And then I'm doing the post show with Alex Pawlowski over on Fightful. It's a Portland kind of weekend for your boy Warren. I hope you guys are around. And then on top of that, we're having a contest if you're all at all interested. Warrior Wrestling on Fight TV this weekend is having a pay-per-view right this weekend, right this weekend, 8 p.m. I think it's Saturday, right? Saturday this weekend, 8 p.m. Go check it out. It's going to be a good time. And do you know why there's going to be a good time? Because Warrior Wrestling has some fantastic wrestlers. You're going to have Tessa Blanchard, who is the Warrior Wrestling Women's Champion. She's going to be defending her title in an 8-woman War of Attrition match. And then you got Taya Valkyrie who's in that match. You have Big Swole, Tasha Steelz, Britt Baker, Kylie Ray, Ray Lynn, and Madison Rain. You've also got the Rascals versus the Stronghearts who are going to be on this card. You've got Alex Shelley, Amazing Red, the North are going to be there, Daga, Jonathan Gresham. Look, if you want to if you want to watch this, but you don't have the bucks, head on over to twitter.com/MrWarrenHayes. I've got a tweet there that explains how this contest works. And it's really simple. You hit the tweet. Fight and I are offering you a free code. You follow me on Twitter, you follow Fight, you retweet, you're automatically added to the contest, and the winner will be DM'd after that. So that is fantastic. So do that, absolutely do that, and also check out belltobells.com for all your women's wrestling coverage. That's BELLTOBELLES. Women's wrestling, you love it, you want to know more, you want to stay abreast of everything, head on over there. That's what you do. Got another super chat from Mannequin who says, driving Sean crazy is never overboard, Warren, which was what we were doing on Monday, and it was a good time. Nick Wolf said, the vampire jokes are bleeding the life out of me. Nick! Good stuff. I appreciate that stuff. Hey, and don't forget, a little later on this evening, I'm going to have a guest. I'm going to have the Queen of the Northeast, the Queen of NE, who's going to be joining me, and we're going to be talking about our wrestling one and onlys. All the stuff that we love, absolutely love about wrestling since it's Valentine's Day. She'll be joining me a little later on this evening. That's it. She'll be joining me a little later on this evening, right after we're done doing the weekly wrestling inspection. Okay, let's get this going then. First of all, before we get this going, JS Brown is here. I said hello to JS Brown. Throwback is right here as well. How you doing, D-Generation MC? Tony is here as well. You still haven't told me how to pronounce your last name exactly, Tony. And there you go. Queen is here as well. She's going to be hanging out. She's hanging out in the chat apparently, but she will be online. Thank you everyone for being here. It's a good time. It's a good time to have so many people around. I like having people around. Makes me feel good. Makes me feel nice and good. Okay, where's my stuff here? I'm looking for my. There we go. Bean soda trash. That's what I'm looking for right there. There we go. Let's start right ahead. Let's go right ahead. Let's start doing this. If I can, there we go. Holy smokes, that was the most complicated thing ever. That's what happens when you do it live. Sometimes I don't know. I just don't know. All right, let's get to it. Let's jump right in. We're going to start talking about we're going to start handing out some cool beans to start things off this week. Why isn't it not showing up? Hello? All right, you know what? Never mind for the cool beans and stuff tonight. I'll say them out loud, and you can just pretend that the logos are there, if that's okay. I don't know what's going on right now. But hey, we are going to start by having some cool beans. I want to talk about the new beginnings in Osaka that happened this weekend. I have a full recap and review of the thing on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes and on the podcast application as well. But I still have to talk about it. I still have to make sure that everyone knows here that my God, it was a good show. It was a real good show. Hiromu Takahashi versus Dragon Lee for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship was fantastic. Legitimately an outstanding match. The chop fest that they had straight off the bat. I started counting down. Well, I actually went back a little. I went back on New Japan World a little bit to just be able to count when they were unloading on each other to start with, when they were rapid firing the chops on each other. They chopped each other nonstop for 36 seconds to begin with. Our boy over at Pro Wrestling Musings, follow by the way, prowrestlingmusings.com, who does all the statistics. I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, right around Wrestle Kingdom, right? He counted a total of 214 strikes in that match. It is a record since he started compiling stats for New Japan. 214 strikes between the both of them. It was so good. Lee, at some point, he sits Takahashi up on the barricade, and he hits the craziest tope suicida, just diving through the ropes, crashing into Hiromu, and they both fly over the commentary table. That is nuts. Absolutely nuts. And then there's Hiromu at some point reversed out of a last ride into a Canadian Destroyer, which was really nice. And they teased the Phoenix Plex, which, as you may or may not know, is the move that Dragon Lee, now known as Ryu Lee, I don't know why I'm calling him Dragon Lee. I guess I'm old school like that. It's the move that Ryu Lee used that almost paralyzed Hiromu, right? And took him out for over a year. When they teased doing it, everyone in the audience went nuts. Everyone started screaming, "No, don't do it!" And even I was like, "Oh Jesus!" But everything, they teased it, they didn't pull it off, and I like that. I like that they're going to keep it. I like that it's still there, but they're going to drag this one out. And probably whenever Ryu Lee decides to pull it out, he's going to he's going to end the match. He's probably going to beat Hiromu with it. I think it was a fantastic match. It took 2 time bombs to put Dragon Lee away. Ryu Lee away. It was so good. What also was really good, some more cool beans, Jon Moxley versus Minoru Suzuki. If there was anything that, any type of match that hang on, let me start over. I'm so excited here. If there was, I don't think there's any kind of match other than what we got here that could have delivered. What am I trying to say? This match was exactly what I expected from Suzuki and Mox, and it went above and beyond. Like, this is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly what we got. There, that's so simple. Warren, words are simple when you know how to use them. The match even started up on the ramp where Moxley grabs 2 chairs and he tosses one on the ramp, and he challenges Suzuki to come fight him with the chairs, and they just start swinging at each other. They brawl in the audience. Minoru, at some point, he rushes commentary, and they're fighting into each other, and he rushes over to commentary to grab a chair. And Kevin Kelly just loses his mind because Minoru just doesn't walk somewhere. He just charges, right? And he just goes for it. And Kevin Kelly goes, that's it. We're dead. We're dead. I thought it was great. He crushes Mox's arm between 2 chairs, which was going to be a good part of the story as well. Mox powerbombed Suzuki through a table, and Suzuki was laughing. Both guys had a great time beating the shit out of each other and getting the shit beat out of them as well. You could tell they really enjoyed it. Was it a high-angle Death Rider that did it and ensured that Mox retained his championship? These guys could have a long-winded program. It would have been fantastic. I still kind of think Suzuki should have won because I think as a U.S. champion, he would have drew. I think people would have really, in the American tours and stuff like that, people would have really dug it. But I mean, this is nitpicky. Mox is a great champion. He shines in New Japan. As good as his stuff is in AEW, New Japan feels like home to him. He's so good. Everything about this match was a lot of fun. It was a great card. However, you still have to wonder, and this is some warm soda here, you still have to wonder what the hell they're doing with the tag team division. And I know I talk about this pretty much at every opportunity I have a chance to, but by God, why would you? We go to Wrestle Kingdom and FinJuice win the tag team titles off of Guerrillas of Destiny. And the problem that we have with the New Japan tag team division is that there's no tag teams. There's just no tag teams. So there's Guerrillas of Destiny, there's Roppongi 3K, and they're in another division, and then you have the makeshift teams, right? That's pretty much it. So when they put FinJuice together to do and win, I'm like, well, maybe they're going to try something. Maybe they're just going to try and mix things around a little, which could have been cool. But then they went and put the titles right back on Guerrillas of Destiny. I don't know why. It's very, 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 very difficult to care about the tag team division in New Japan because it's basically always the same teams. It's basically always the same teams. That's what it is. I want to say hello to Daniel Haynes, who's in the chat as well. How you doing, Daniel? Thank you for coming. All right, so there we go. Let's keep moving on. We're going to give some cool beans out to Asuka versus Becky Lynch from Monday Night Raw. I thought this was a real good match. I kind of liked it more than their Royal Rumble match. They worked real hard and real strong. Asuka hit I don't know how you'd call it. I don't know how you'd call it. A fisherman's slam or a package spine buster. Whatever it was kind of cool. It was kind of like Angel Garza's finisher. I really liked it. Becky hit a slop drop on the apron, and as a wrestling fan and a wrestling guy who talks about wrestling, you can never miss a chance, an opportunity to say someone hit a slop drop. Every opportunity I take it. Becky Lynch does get the win. Oh, and Kairi Sane. Listen, folks, you saw the distraction, right? I am going to, for the first time in 2020, I will be handing out an award for the best distraction in a wrestling match. And I'm going to give it, I'm creating this category this year because Kairi Sane's distraction to Becky Lynch was so amazingly good and stupid. It was the greatest distraction of all time. Of course, Becky lost her concentration seeing that. But it was a great match. They really had enough time to get things going and deliver a great final sequence. You know, Becky has held the Raw Women's Championship for 308 days, and your girl Kristen Ashley did a bit of research, got a statistic out, send it over my way. She said the title has existed in its current state since September 5th, 2016. So Becky has held the title for 24.6% of the title's existence with her current reign. So for practically a quarter of the existence of the lifetime of the title, Becky Lynch has held it. That's bananas to me. That's really bananas. But moving on, we're going to give some warm soda to the post-match angle. You had Shayna Baszler run in, which I thought was really cool. Started to beat down Becky. It's the match we want. But then she bit her neck. And she got bloodied. And I mean blood, right? Well, you've all seen the pictures by now. And we've, the vampire stuff that we were talking about. It all has to do with all the jokes that we were doing on Fightful on Monday. And even last night on the Wednesday Night Wars podcast, it was just so over the top. It was a little much. But then Becky runs to the ambulance, or was it an ambulance or the medical facilities emergency, the vehicle kind of thing. And she gets into it to drive it away. And then she comes back later on to cut a finishing promo. I didn't care much for that bit. It didn't make sense for her to go get fixed up and come back. Plus, she hadn't been properly cleaned up. She still had blood stains on her face and stuff. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, hey, the medical facility staff didn't do a very good job cleaning you up, Becky. It sort of left you leave half-assed. Could have contaminated someone. I don't know what's going on. No one wants to see you running around covered in blood, Becky. I don't know. The angle, I didn't care for it all that much. It wasn't terrible, but it didn't quite make sense. I thought that Becky could have just gone away, or at least try to find Shayna, because she drives herself to the hospital, then drives herself back. I don't know. It doesn't quite make sense to me. But anyway, in this part of the show, I want to give a shout out to Ben, moderator Ben, who added a few ideas here in my show notes, which I make available. I build them live, or at least as we go along during the week. They're up on Patreon, and they're open to contributions from anyone who joins. And Benoit jumped in, so salutations, Ben, for your contribution here. Gonna give out some hot trash now. Gonna give out some hot trash to the Rhea, Ripley, and Charlotte stuff. So Rhea is backstage. Oh, by the way, hello to Dina Cizai, who is here. Dina Cizai. It's good to see you, Dina Cizai. Gonna give out some hot trash here to Rhea Ripley and the Charlotte stuff. Rhea's backstage. She cuts a promo. Sarah Logan interrupts. Then they have a match where Sarah Logan has a promo, a pre-match promo where she's walking to the ring, and it's not good. Promos are not Sarah Logan's thing, and it's a squash essentially. Rhea destroys Sarah. And then Charlotte comes out and says that Rhea might not even be champ after TakeOver this weekend. And Rhea's like, well, are you going to accept my challenge or not, Charlotte? And Charlotte evades the question. She's basically going, woo, This was not good, and it benefited no one, and it advanced nothing. And it's a very, very odd misstep in as far as Raw goes. As far as Raw goes recently, it's really strange what they did here, because outside of Rhea squashing Sarah Logan's promos didn't help her. Rhea showing up and being like, "Are you accepting my thing?" And then when Charlotte fails to respond, she just stands there and basically goes, "Welp." Didn't look good for her. And Charlotte, the whole thing with Charlotte, her responses weren't good. If she wanted to be cagey and evasive, she should have been cagey and evasive instead of just like dodging the question, It wasn't a good look for anyone. And like I said, it didn't advance anything. It didn't bring anything to the forefront. It's a bummer. It's what we call in the business a bummer. Anakin left another super chat. He said, Warren, did you see the video of Becky taking the ambulance modded to look like it's from Grand Theft Auto? No, I did not. That sounds like a hoot. I'm going to have to look that one up once we're done. That sounds like a lot of fun. So there we go. So that's, I said pretty much everything I need to say about that. Going to give some cool beans to Randy Orton writing Matt Hardy off of Raw. This was good. It was just good. It made sense for Matt Hardy in a way to come out and stick up for Edge, because he because like he said, they hit the roads together. They did a lot of stuff together. They invented the TLC match together, essentially, So I'm okay with them. I'm okay with them referencing this. Of course, there's always this issue with Edge and Lita and Matt, basically Lita having an affair with Edge while she's dating Matt Hardy, and then Matt Hardy, when wanting to confront Edge about it, ends up losing his job at WWE. It was a really weird situation, so I can understand if Matt still has some I can understand if Matt had some reserves about Edge moving on, but I understand he explained it enough, saying, when he was forced to retire, something that he loves, this I could relate to, and, I don't hate him anymore, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they brawl, but you know what happens. There's an RKO, there's a concerto. Matt Hardy is effectively dead, and he wasn't very subtle about it into the lead up, but now it's getting clearer. He's on his way out. His contract is coming up on March 1st, as per all the reports, so he's done. And he's been saying goodbyes. He's considering it his swan song in WWE, at least for now. And I think it's good for him if he has options where he can go away and do stuff. Is he going to be the exalted one in AEW? By God, I hope not. Because honestly, but it's probably not going to. I really, 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 really would have liked it to be Christopher Daniels, because it would be a perfect nod to that story from back in the Attitude Era days when the supreme leader of the corporate ministry was supposed to be him. And it turned out to be Vince McMahon, but it was supposed to be Christopher Daniels. But that never panned out. So if Christopher Daniels were revealed to be the exalted one of the Dark Order and really do pull his, it was me, Scorpio, it was me all along kind of thing, I'd lose it. I think it would be the greatest angle ever. But look, we'll see where Matt Hardy goes. He can go absolutely anywhere he wants and he'll be fine. We saw it when he hit the independent circuit. When the Hardy Boys made their return, they just ended up going everywhere. He has a home wherever he goes, and I wouldn't discount him coming back to WWE either down the line, because it's way too much a huge part of what the Hardy Boys became. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but it was good stuff. Let's move on to NWA Power for a little bit. Again, I have my weekly NWA Power recap available here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes and on your podcast stuff as well. I record it live for patrons every Tuesday, and they get early access to it before I release it into the world. So by now if you've watched it, and by God you must have, right? By now that I didn't care much for the episode this week. Didn't think it was all that good. But there will be some hot trash handed out here, and it's for putting the Rock and Roll Express back into a match, and not because I hate the Rock and Roll Express. I hate seeing Robert Gibson suffer so much in a ring. I don't need to see that. Robert Gibson had trouble. He could not get himself back he couldn't get himself back up on his feet after taking a bump or a move or whatever without using the ropes. Hell, there was even a moment where he was hanging on to Ricky Morton. He grabbed onto Ricky Morton's shirt to climb himself back to an upright position. I don't need to be seeing that. I do not. The legend of the Rock and Roll Express is established. It's done. They're one of the greatest tag teams of all time, and they will always be remembered as such. I don't need to see Robert Gibson in these positions anymore. It breaks my heart. And it's difficult to watch. I don't need to watch that. I really don't. Let's move on to some more cool beans. Something that I have been dying to say. Something that I've been looking forward to say for so long, and here we are, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I am so happy to say that AEW's women's division had a very strong week. Feels good to say. Started on AEW Dark, where Rio versus Shoko Nakajima was good stuff. Shida had a good match as well. I'm going to talk about that on the post show, though, on the post stream. But look, the women looked good this week, from top to bottom on AEW. And on Dynamite, we had Nyla Rose becoming world women's champion. And look, I'm gonna apologize. Yeah, I think I mentioned it like right here on the show last week. I was not looking forward to this match. I didn't think their first encounter was all that good. I've had very, very vocal thoughts in regards to whether Nyla was ready to be in the position that AEW want her to be in. I wasn't expecting much out of this match. By God, they proved me wrong. And I am humbled, and I am okay to come out here and outright say that I was wrong to doubt them. But I mean, then again, AEW's women's division has given me more than enough reason to doubt them. But as it stands here, this was good. This was a good, solid match. Nyla unquestionably had her best match since coming to AEW. And I think it's good that they took the belt off of Riho as well. It's going to be fresh. It's going to be good. Hell, Brock Lesnar, since the beginning of 2020, has been on WWE television more often than Rio has been on AEW TV. Let that sink in. I like the match. I thought it was good. Told a good story. Was it perfect? No. Was it rough? A little bit, but we've seen rougher. And it didn't distract from the situation. Northern Lights suplex, 98-pound Rio delivering Northern Lights suplexes on Nyla Rose. I'm okay with. You know why? Because it's pro wrestling, and if you make me buy into it, I'll buy into it. And you know what? The audience was buying into it, and ultimately, that's all that matters. Because the audience was up on their feet. They were cheering for the near falls. They were excited about this match, so they were doing something right in that ring. I'll tell you that. And then Britt Baker, what the hell? Her promo was so good. Her promos have been phenomenal since the cruise. They've just been getting better and better and better. This was outstanding. Everybody, let's give it up for Tony. He's trying so hard and he's killing it. That was amazing. And she also told Tony Schiavone where to stand. And I love her. I love how she's leaning into all the criticisms that she gets online. Yes, I'm a dentist. I'm a role model. I was the first woman signed to AEW. I'm a big deal. I love it. I gave Yuka Sakazaki a free dental treatment for free. I did it for free. I could have charged her hundreds of dollars. It was so good. And she played to the crowd. She got some magnificent heat. This is working out. It's working out. And this, folks, is proof once again that if you get good creative behind you, and it's something that you can sink your teeth into, your talent can run with it. You give them bad creative is bad creative. You put them in situations that they're not comfortable in, that don't work. It will ultimately do them harm. Now the AEW has pivoted. They've decided to make her a heel, which is a fantastic idea. I've talked about it enough on how I think it's going to protect her in-ring style as well. There's nothing but good stuff to come out of this. And Baker is shining. Objectively speaking, now, I don't like to tell you, folks, listeners, watchers, when you're wrong, because everything is opinion, and ultimately, that's up to that. Opinions are subjective, right? But objectively speaking, if you did not like Britt Baker's promo, her execution, how she delivered it, how she played to the crowd, if you did not like it, you either don't watch AEW or you just don't like Britt Baker, which is fair. Because there was nothing. I'm drawing a line here. There was nothing to dislike about this promo. It was real good. And then to cap it all off, I'm going to talk about Jungle Boy versus MJF here. Oh, wait a second. Anakin sent another super chat. Thank you, Anakin. What do you make of people saying Britt is just doing heel Bailey? No, I think the only connection that they're making is because Britt says, I'm a role model, which is kind of Bailey's shtick. But Bailey leaned into that, whereas Britt it's one thing amongst others, where she just thinks she's better than everyone. You remember Bailey's heel turn, she said, I'm a role model. I don't understand why you guys are booing me. Britt, on the other hand, the twist that she's putting on this is, I'm better than you all. That's just it. I'm a dentist. I hold 3 PhDs. The role model thing is something that was attributed to her. It was a position that AEW wanted her to be in. Something that the fans started to turn on her because we're like, look, she's trying to be a role model. She's trying to do the nice happy girl role model thing, and it's not working out. She's leaning into her criticisms. Bailey, it was an intrinsic part of her character. There's a difference. If Britt Baker had never used the words, I'm a role model, no one would be making the comparisons. Trust me on that. But thank you for the super chat. And want to say hello to Conrad and wait, I saw someone else pop in. Jonathan Reyes is here. There you go. I knew I saw someone else. There you go. Thank you for being here, folks. So yeah, just to wrap it up, Jungle Boy and MJF, my favorite match of Dynamite, and Dynamite was so good this week. It was, by the way, it was really, really good. If you haven't had the chance to watch it, it was a primo episode. And Jungle Boy versus MJF, it was so good. They work so well together because one of them is a great baby face and the other one is a dastardly heel. And MJF's heel persona was full on, and he's working to make me like him as a heel, of course. You know what kind of criticisms I've levied towards him, where I think he's a great heel, but he's one of these clever heels where people are excited to hear what he's going to say, kind of thing. You don't really boo him because you dislike him. You boo him because it's part of the shtick. You're in on the joke. Whereas a guy like Jay White, you just hate his guts. You just don't like the guy because he's just awful. Well, not awful. You just don't like him because he plays his role so well. But MJF is sort of letting the snarky, snide little creative shots aside, and he's becoming loathsome. And that's good. Because if they can, for the match that Cody and he need to have at Revolution, MJF has to be the purest heel possible. I am so looking forward to that match. It's crazy. It is a match that will sell tickets. This is a match you want to see. There's so many hot matches on Dynamite. And by God, next week we're getting Pac and Kenny Omega in a 30-minute Iron Man match. Are you kidding me? My God. We're spoiled, boys and girls. We are spoiled by wrestling. That's the weekly inspection. All right. So, what are we doing? Hey, by the way, if you want to come join me after the post show, there's a post show. No. After the show, I do my post stream over on patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. If you want to come join, that'd be fantastic. You just have to become a member of the Patreon. You just have to jump in at the $5 tier. And tonight I'll be talking about stuff I didn't have an opportunity to talk about tonight. I'm going to talk about Bobby Lashley. I'm going to be talking about the hot and cold talent in AEW. I'm going to be talking about the baby faces on Raw, and why can't SmackDown have any baby faces? My God. So come and join me after. So that'll be good. So now I'm going to move on. We're going to move on, and I'm going to get my guest in here, Queen of the Northeast. What I'm going to do, since I'm a one-man operation here, I'm going to get in touch with her. I'm going to call her. I'm going to connect, make sure everything's okay. We'll be right back. Stay here, folks. We're just going to run a, for if you're watching live right now, just going to run a pause screen, but don't go away. We'll be right back. And when on the other side, Queen of the Northeast is going to be joining us to talk about our one and onlys of wrestling. We'll be right back. Hey, how's everybody doing? Well, we're back from this little pause that we took, which wasn't anything too huge, was it? Wasn't anything too bad? I don't think so. But it was worth it. It was worth waiting around because I am joined by none other than Queen of NE. Queen of NE, she's the host of Queen's Court that you can find on podcast applications, that you can also find on twitch.tv. She's also the co-host of DYWTSB podcast. She just recorded the podcast this week, and she decided to go overtime and come and join me. Queen, how are you doing?
I'm so good, Warren. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much for asking. Not a lot of people ask me about that.
Well, I try, you know.
I know that.
I just try.
You should be on the show more often. You'd be like my regular ego boost.
Well, anytime, buddy. It would be my pleasure.
Queen accepted to come on the show today. I wanted to do a little something out of the ordinary, considering that we're on the cusp of Valentine's Day, and wanted to do something where we talk about our one and onlys for Valentine's Day, but not necessarily. Oh, I really like Roman Reigns. Oh, I think Session Moth Martina would be the perfect woman for me. Not that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
It's easy. Everyone can do that. I thought we'd go into the other realms of wrestling. There's so much stuff that people feel passionate about. And we should talk about the things that we consider our wrestling Valentines, our one and onlys this year. Right?
Right.
So, hey, instead of just beating around the bush and everything and so on and so forth, let's show the good people. Let's talk to the good people about what this concept is about. And I want to hear, I'm going to start with you, Queen.
Okay.
I'd like to know what your wrestling one and only finishing move would be.
Well, Warren, Mr. WarrenHayes. Firstly, I'd like to say thanks so much for having me. Oh. And this is going to be an awful lot of fun. And I just would like to tell you that our mutual pal, the Mr. JP of the Q, has provided me with a couple of things that you may hear during this amazing segment that we're about to do. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So I'm just going to throw them in there. But this is not one of them. I just was going to forewarn you just in case.
I'm suddenly very concerned. Okay.
It's going to be great.
Okay.
But in terms of finishing moves, nothing makes me happier. Nothing makes the heart grow fonder than when I see or saw, because it is of all time, right? My only love of all time. Nothing made me happier than seeing the Stone Cold Stunner. It's hard hitting. It comes out of nowhere. Not quite like the RKO, but kinda. It can get you. It's strong. It makes you cringe a little bit when he hits it just right. Ooh, it's so good. And even Vince McMahon felt the wrath of the Stunner on several occasions.
Exactly, so, on more than one occasion.
Right. And so I feel like the heart wants what the heart wants, Warren. And that is what this is.
It's a good one, and it's one that a lot of people hold dear to their hearts, right? Like if the Stone Cold Stunner were single, my God, the number of dates it would be on in a year.
Oh, so many.
But it is a good choice. It's fantastic. On my end, I thought a lot about it. I tend to overthink things as well. And, I went back a ways as well. And chat, yes, do let us know, chat, what your one and onlys would be.
Ooh, Psycho Driver. That's a good one.
Oh, that's a good one. From Nick Wolf, yes. And as for me, I've always had a soft spot for the Razor's Edge. But I think that my heart over the past few years has been stolen away. I'm in my mid-40s. The midlife crisis is kicking in. Yeah. You get rid of the old and you look for a newer model, right?
Oh God. Looking for a new model, he said. I love it.
The Rainmaker.
Oh, I should have seen that coming.
And I'm a sucker for the Rainmaker. I'm a sucker for a finisher that has variance. Like the spinning Rainmaker's cool, but it's not as strong. And then when it builds, you get to that crescendo, where it's like, yeah, this is the real one here. He's not spinning right. He's the short arm. You're done, boy. Boom. Just flat on your back. That's a good one. It
is a good one.
And it makes me feel kind of like when there would be Stone Cold Stunners popping up a little bit out of nowhere where I'd be like, I get the same kind of adrenaline rush. Plus it's Kazuchika Okada. What can you do?
I mean, the shorts. If we're talking about one and only Valentine's Day loves, Warren.
The shorts?
Okada's thighs. It is Valentine's Day after all.
Sure, absolutely. Not just the shorts, right?
Of course.
No, exactly.
Lordy.
In the chat, we've got the package pile driver, the RKO. Jonathan Reyes said the RKO. Nick Wolf mentioned the Psycho Driver, but the package pile driver as well. Sweet Chin Music by Carlos, which is an all-time classic back when super kicks were meaningful. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
No, I'm joking. That's a joke. It's a joke. The Rocker Dropper. Rocker Dropper is another good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah.
Honorable mention. Now, this is going to shock some people that know me, Warren.
Okay.
I do not like Baron Corbin. However, that finishing move that he has, honey, is it.
End of Days is damn good.
It's so good. Annoyingly good.
Annoying. But it's really, really good.
It is good.
Throwback says the styles clash, and he also left a super chat. Thank you very much, Throwback. And he says, ask the Queen. That would be you, Queen.
That's me.
What her thoughts are about the talent pool that came out of chaotic wrestling, such as Sasha, Kofi, etc., and also all the talent from Kowalski's gym.
Goodness. Oh, what are my thoughts about the people?
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think Sasha, I really love what used to be with Sasha. I'm having trouble with Sasha right now, but I think, she's one of the WWE Four Horsewomen. There's something
Mm-hmm.
really special in my heart for her. As far as Kofi Kingston goes, I've always loved Kofi. I've always been like a supporter of his. I've always loved his special spots in the Rumble, but nothing made me happier as a Kofi Kingston fan than when he won the title. And for me, that just like it finally happened and it finally hit, and it was a beautiful title run up until the end.
There's a there's a
So
there's a bunch of people who came out of chaotic wrestling. There's
yes,
Kofi, there's Sasha, there's Damian Sandow.
yeah. Oh, I love Damian Sandow.
Flip Gordon came out of there as well. Dominic
Flip.
Dijakovic,
Yep.
Darren Young, Oni Lorcan, one of my boys, one of my
Oh,
proteges. Yeah, I mean, it was a great training ground for a lot of people. Ciampa came out of there as well.
Yep, he sure did, and he's one of my favorites of all time.
So I mean, there was magic around that period. There was a lot of good stuff. Kind of like Ohio Valley wrestling, just at the turn of the 2000s, right when they had John Cena and Brock and Randy Orton and
Sure.
and Batista. They, all coming up at the same time. It's a nuts kind of thing. But
It is. It's a lot of talent in one kind of little area there. A few years. It's a lot.
absolutely. But hey, you know what? Let's keep going.
Okay.
Let him say we're crazy. I don't care about that. Put your hand in my hand, baby. Don't ever look back. let the world around us just fall apart, baby. We can make it for heart to heart. We can build this thing together, standing strong forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. And if this world runs out of lovers, we'll still have each other. Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us now.
That was beautiful, Warren. Can we clap for the man, chat? That was amazing.
I just get on these things sometimes. I don't know.
But I love it.
Let's keep talking about our one and onlys here.
Can
we? Shane Haas, how you doing? Just title belts. Title belts, a lot of history, lots of belts, lots of promotions. Tell us about your one and only title belt, the one that gives you the sweaty heavies.
Sure. Well, I'm going to lead in with this. Okay. Favorite title, if we're talking titles, it's got to be the 24/7 championship, Warren. And let me tell you why.
Yeah, tell me why. Okay. That's a controversial choice. Go ahead.
Let me tell you why.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It's a Valentine's Day little segment we got going on here. You got hearts, you got roses going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 24/7 title, because nothing says, let's get it on. Let's get physical. Like being available 100% of the time, 24/7. And that, my friend, was from Mr. JPQ.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Thank you, John. That does sound like him.
It does. Now, for my real title belt, love. Sorry, 24/7 championship, but you don't do it for me, buddy. We're not in love. I don't even think we're friends. But it was a good one. My favorite belt of all time, my one and only belt, is the big gold belt. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's big.
Mm-hmm.
I have a thing. This is going to sound terrible, but I have a thing for big belts. I really like that heavy feel, the way it looks when it's worn, the way it looks on the shoulder. I like a strong presence of a title belt. Mm-hmm. And that, for me, is the belt when I think about like my childhood.
Sure.
And getting introduced to wrestling. It's beautiful. It was shiny. It had a little bit of the white gold in it from Mr. Flair there. And it just looked, just so good. Like if I was a champion, that would be the belt that I would want. And it's storied history, and then the way kind of WWE kind of screwed it up a little bit, but that's fine. The belt itself, I think, was just such a statement piece. And as someone who loves #wrestling fashion and, jewelry, because I'm a girl, this is a shiny piece of gold, honey, and I just love it.
Well, it's a good choice. It's a really good choice.
Thank you.
It was my choice, so I guess I'll pick something. It's okay. It's fine. I like to flirt.
The same loves. We can love the same thing.
No,
Warren.
It's kind of weird.
Well, I mean, I
I know,
guess.
I'm kidding. It's for discussion's sake.
All right.
No, but I flirted with title belt love over the
Sure.
past few, right? The old Intercontinental title was, someone I winked at a couple of times. The AEW Heavyweight Championship is one I,
Ooh, yes.
newer, fresher, has that appeal. The WWE Tag Team Wing belts, I
Yeah, those
like
are good.
those. I like the little curve, was nice. But look, I may be sounding biased right now, but I got a thing for that IWGP Heavyweight
Ooh.
Championship. So,
Yeah, you do.
because it's
Ooh.
kind of like the same. It's kind of like the same as the big gold belt. It's a big,
Yep.
massive prize. It looks like a trophy. It looks like something you'd hit someone repeatedly over the head to win. It's something you hold, you feel proud of. You want to snuggle it all night. That's what I'd do. I'd snuggle it all night.
I would too. That belt, that's like my second favorite belt, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I love that belt. And it looks great on Okada. I mean Naito. Sorry. But I really mean Okada.
Fair enough.
Naito, love you.
Connor McCabe, welcome to the chat. Carlos says a couple of people are calling for the Winged Eagle belt, which is it's a classic.
It's a good one. It's a classic. Yeah, it's like your high school girlfriend or boyfriend.
Exactly.
It was a good time. It was a learning experience. It's fond memories when you look back now.
Carlos and Conrad both went for that. Jonathan Reyes said the white IC belt, which is a good variant right there. Degeneration MC says the big gold belt is classier than all of those promiscuous titles.
Wow. Calling them out.
No kidding. But we don't shame here on the Mr. Warren Hayes show. Robert Larry says the NWA Classic US Tag Team and the big gold belt. WWF Winged Eagle and Tag Team belts as well. Those are really good. Dina Sisai says the NXT UK tag belts. NXT UK has a nice set of belts. I agree. Ben says the IWGP heavyweight title or the IWGP US title as well. Throwback goes for the original WWE WWF belt in the 80s. You can't. That's the basics right there.
Yeah, there it is.
And Nick Wolf says the NWA national title. It's very unique, that's for sure. Shane Haas agrees with the NXT UK titles as well. Nick Wolf pulls out a good one. NWA Western States Heritage title. Yep.
Wow.
And Throwback says the Stone Cold belt, the Smoking Skulls, and Shane Haas says the $1 Million belt. Your pay-per-view. Your one and only wrestling pay-per-view, my dear Queen.
Oh, Warren, let me tell you.
Tell me. Wait, is this you or John now?
No, this is me.
Okay.
This is me. This is all Queenie right here. This is the real serious one that I have for you. Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
There's nothing quite like your first love.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it'll just always be the one you go back to.
Mm-hmm.
Your first real, true love. And that for me is WrestleMania 17.
That was your
first?
Is it a pop?
Well, it's my first real love of a Mania, yes.
Well, I mean, my God.
It wasn't my first Mania, but it was my first love of a WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Fell in love, hardcore. That was it for me. And this is the pay-per-view that I watch several times a year. When I need something to cheer me up, I will turn on a few matches. I don't even have to watch the whole thing sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I always go back to this. It's a very popular choice. A lot of people like WrestleMania 17, but that's not the reason that I chose it.
Oh.
The reason that I chose it is because it has my favorite match of all time inside of it. And it's not the main event.
Okay.
And it's the TLC match.
Of course.
Which is my absolute favorite match of all time. Other than Kenny and Okada, because hello. There's just no beating that. But, geez, the feel, even of the main event too, going back to that for a second, just the feel of that Rock versus Stone Cold. You know, they did it before, but it was a very different feel this time. Rock had different. He wasn't under the corporation of dear McMahon there. He had skyrocketed in popularity, character shift, and Stone Cold was at one of his very, very, very best. The storytelling alone to get to this Mania, on top of that, ooh, child, ooh, yes, so good. Feel it in my soul. Like, I love this pay-per-view so, so much. So that's my one true love right there.
Well, it's an easy one to fall for. And you know, and I'm not saying that you have very general, very common tastes, Queen.
I hope not.
Because it's an unattainable level of perfection. I think that pay-per-view as far as it goes.
Yep.
Hello, Kristen. Welcome to the chat, by the way.
Hi,
Conrad agrees with you. WrestleMania 17 is his. Dina says the Royal Rumble. Carlos says the Royal Rumble 98 specifically. The Generation MC says SummerSlam 02 was a very gentle lover. Took real good care of me during my first time. I was only 5 years old, but that's neither here or there.
Oh, that's great.
Oh boy, Ben says it's a tie. Wrestle Kingdom 11 was his first wrestling show that he saw, or the first wrestling show that he saw live. Survivor Series 97, excuse me. Connor says my favorite pay-per-view of all time was Royal Rumble 2000. Rumble 2001 for Jonathan Reyes. That was something. Those are all good choices. But as for me, I'm gonna tell you,
I'm ready.
You know, sometimes love, you can have love in all sorts of different types of situations, and you know, you can love someone for who they are. But sometimes there's this maybe. Sorry, just got a super chat. Apologies. Throwback. Let another super chat. Thank you very much. His fave match was Mania in Boston with Mike Tyson. Yeah, that's another good one. Also, the press conference outside of Boston City Hall was a great tease to it. They did the Mike Tyson thing really, really perfectly. That was really good. But yeah, sometimes love can be a little more insidious, right? Or at least you show love, but it's not real love. Sometimes it's just you just want to feel better about yourself.
Yes.
So that's why I'm gonna pick AWA Supercard 3.
Whoa!
It is a trash pay-per-view. It is an absolute dumpster fire from 1988. I covered it over on Fightful Select. We did a retro review of it. It is bad stuff. The AWA was not in a good place. Supercard was their answer to WrestleMania. And basically, the setup for Supercard 3 was the last few remaining territories or promotions that Vince hadn't bought out / crushed. The WCWA, David McLean's Women of Wrestling, Jerry Jarrett's CWA, and the AWA, they all came together to do this big thing, but it was so bad. The AWA hadn't had a TV taping for 3 months leading into the pay-per-view.
Oh, God.
It drew a 0.5 buy rate, Queen. They did it in Chicago. Hang on, let me see where. The UIC Pavilion in Chicago, Illinois sits 10,000 people. They got 1,600 people into that arena. There was... most of the matches, everything was so political because all of the promoters were this is full carny mode. So they're all thinking that everyone's going to backstab each other. No one wanted their guys to lose. So most of the matches finished with count outs or just getting thrown out. You had Wahoo McDaniel, who at the end of a match threatened to find Manny Fernandez in a dark alley and shoot him.
Oh my God.
You had Bill Apter of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, who had an award made up, a little plaque for Jerry Lawler to give him the wrestler, he was the top wrestler, number 1 of the PWI 500 that year, but they couldn't find Lawler, and it wasn't a shoot. They just could not find Jerry Lawler to give him he eventually did, but they had like 2 or 3 segments before they got to it. There was a lingerie battle royal.
Wow.
It was garbage. And the outcome, Vern Gagne from the AWA decided to pay nobody. He didn't pay anyone. So Jerry Lawler is the AWA champion, right? Of his promotion, of Vern Gagne's promotion, the AWA. So Jerry's like, give me my money. Vern's like, no. So it's like, fine, I'm not showing up and I'm your champion and I'm keeping the belt. So Jerry Lawler to this day still has the original AWA World Heavyweight Championship. He never gave it back because he never got paid. Then a couple of weeks after, Gagne has a new championship belt made, and he had it won by Larry Zbyszko, who was his son-in-law. So he was sure he wasn't going to get screwed that time. It's a trash fire. It is such a dumpster fire. It's on the network, gals and guys. If you want to just sit down and lose a couple of brain cells and realize that SmackDown just ain't that bad, go check it out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a bad one.
Well, sometimes things are bad, but it's just so good. Yep. They're so bad, they're good.
And this was a bad one.
Oh, there you go.
Robert Larry says the Great American Bash from 1986 was his first love. That's a way back.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with our final love, one and only. Excuse me.
Okay.
Our one and only match stipulation.
Wow. Okay.
Lay it on me, Queen.
Now, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Match stipulation, can that also count as like a gimmick?
Sure. Absolutely.
Interesting. Okay. Just curious, because I was doing research for this one, thinking about it,
Mm-hmm.
But I have to go with an Iron Man or Iron Woman or just Iron Person match. Because honestly, Warren, it's getting ready for Valentine's Day, and I can't think of anything worse. Getting ready for this match. You're all excited. You've done your prep work. You've gotten new gear. You're looking great. You're laughing already. Don't make me laugh. All in the ring. Spotlight is on you. Your entrance was perfect. Everything's great. Everything is great. And then the match ends in 10 seconds. There's nothing worse than that. Bill Goldberg. So.
Bravo.
It has to be an Iron Man, woman, or person match. And I will have you know that was very little JPQ and more so me. And if you want to know how you...
Okay, all right. Hey. They can pay me money before we start doing that.
I know, just a small joke. Anywho, I do love that match stipulation. But if we're talking a gimmick thing, then the Royal Rumble is it for me.
Yeah.
It's my all-time favorite show, favorite. I guess it's technically a stipulation, gimmick.
It is.
Issue that you have to run through 30 other people to get what you want, which is the ultimate shot at the biggest, grandest stage of them all. So I just, that like has my heart always, because I love the surprise. I love the entrance, and you never quite know. Well, at least in the olden days, right? You never quite know. The women's Royal Rumble this year, however, was excellent.
It was real good. I agree. Yeah, I agree with the Rumble. It was a toss up for me because I love me a good Royal Rumble, but even though it was kind of John's choice here, I'm legitimately a huge fan of Iron Man matches. I just love them, and I like the fact that they are used sparingly in WWE. As far as I could collect, in history, there's about 12 Iron Man matches that have taken place, and of course, you have legendary ones like The Rock and Triple H from Judgment Day 2000.
Yes.
You have, of course, Sasha and Bailey from TakeOver Respect. But then there's, I remember fondly some from TNA as well. TNA had some great ones. They had a tag team Iron Man match, the Wolves versus the Dirty Heels. I think it was in 2000, I want to say 14, something like that. AJ Styles and Bobby Roode at Final Resolution in 2011 had a hell of a good one. Randy Orton and John Cena. What was it? Bragging Rights, I think.
Bragging Rights, yep.
And Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe at Final Resolution 2007, which was crazy.
It was nuts. That's a good one.
See
why we love Iron Man matches. See,
there's so much to love in a good Iron Man match, and that's why I'm looking forward to Pac versus Kenny Omega next week on Dynamite, because they're two guys whose cardio is off the roof and they're super talented. I mean,
it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be fantastic.
Sure is.
Well, there you have it, our one and onlys for Valentine's Day. All these great things about wrestling that we love. Had a good time with you, Queen. Thank you so much for popping up, but do take a second or 5 to tell everyone where they can find you, what you got cooking over the past next few days or so.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Warren, for asking me to come on. I had so much fun. Appreciate it so much. Y'all can find me on Twitter at thequeenofne. As Warren mentioned at the beginning, I'm the host of Queen's Court. Drops every single Wednesday as one half of the Queen and Pup Connection with JPQ in no particular angle. I'm also the co-host of DYW TSB, which drops every single Friday. Coming up for the Queen, I have some giveaways coming out. One US-based, one international-based to celebrate almost reaching 5K. It's the 5K Queenie Gives giveaway. That's coming out tomorrow. Next week, I have a special episode coming up that I don't want to spoil just yet. But in the coming months, you're going to see some new suggests from Queenie of some podcasts that you should be listening to, and maybe another, cool interview. But if you haven't heard my interview with Effie, then I hope that you would go check it out on all podcast platforms.
Effie he's a fun listen. I listened to the interview. He's a super interesting guy, and he's a fun listen. It was a good talk, and he's getting hot.
Yeah, he is. He's awesome. So keep your eye out for that one.
Yeah, for sure. No, that is so. Yeah, definitely follow Queen wherever. Her stuff is in the description of both the podcast and the YouTube station here, so you can check it out. Queen, thank you so much once again for joining me on this Valentine's Day's Eve. I hope you have a good day with Mr. Queen tomorrow.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful day too with Miss Kristen.
No, we'll do our best. You can count on
I
that.
know you will.
And I want to thank everyone for joining me here this evening live here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, or whenever or wherever you decide to listen to this. Don't forget, if you are watching live, immediately after this, I'm going to flip on over to patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes for Warren is Off the Clock, which is the post stream. And it's going to be another good time. Otherwise, listen, again, thank you all for coming out. And I'll see you next time.